Most people see a finished image. The plate looks clean, composed, intentional. What they don't see is how much had to change behind the scenes to get it there. Because a year ago, this wasn't the expectation. This wasn't the standard. And for John Hernandez, the role was clear. Stay behind the camera, capture the moment, make it look right. But as the work evolved, so did the responsibility. Through our relationship with RAK Porcelain USA, the stakes got higher. This wasn't just content anymore. We earned the opportunity to shoot their product catalog. That means every plate matters, every detail matters. There's no room for good enough. And that's where the shift happened. John didn't step away from the camera. He stepped deeper into the process, learning from the chefs coming through the studio week after week, watching how they build, how they adjust, how they think, and then applying it. Cooking, plating, refining. Not to become a chef, but to understand the plate well enough to elevate it before it ever hits the lens. And now the work reflects that. So today is a different kind of episode. No outside guests, just a conversation about growth, earned opportunity, and what happens when you stay close enough to the craft, long enough, that it starts to change how you see everything. And as we head towards episode 200 at the Tampa Club, this is part of that story, because what we're building now is on a completely different level than when we started. Let's get into it.
John, do I say welcome to the show? I don't know. It's weird. It's not weird because, we've known each other for a million years.
No, it's absolutely weird.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think so. I don't think it's weird at all. But I will tell you that it's awkward, not weird. It's a little bizarre because typically there's chefs, there's hustle and bustle going on here with more people. Today, just you and me, baby. That's it.
Still hustle and bustle.
Yeah, no, clearly there's work. There's tons of work involved in all of this, but it was different. And it was, listen, no, what time is it? We're a little bit, we're only just past our normal schedule time, and we kind of just eased into the whole day, and we had to go shopping.
And we did 3 versions of the same dish.
Correct. So the truth is, things went pretty smooth today, all things considered, that you're not, in fact, a chef. But today, you were the one holding the tongs and tweezers.
True story.
I don't know, back in 1989, when you used to draw like cartoon characters and stuff like that, you were very artsy. And then naturally over the years, you progressed with your art. You started doing more serious stuff. Then, of course, you picked up the camera. You did all that stuff. Fast forward to 2020 and Walk and Talk Media, and we're doing the podcast, and all of a sudden there's photography, there's the food. You've always had that eye. But when did you realize that eye alone wasn't enough anymore?
I'd have to say that I always felt like it wasn't enough. I'm harder on myself than anyone else could be. You don't always know what the next step is to get better. You can get better at lighting, you can get better at all the technical stuff, but having these incredible chefs coming in here every week, you start to pick up some of the stuff that they're doing, and I'm watching them very closely and trying to pick up little techniques and this kind of thing. Then I started asking questions. So when they come in here, I'm always trying to pick their brains and get, little bits of information from them. If I can get a little tidbit each week, I see that as a win.
Let's talk about the dish a little bit. What'd you do today?
We did a Greek chicken pasta dish. When we went to the store, we were trying to decide the recipe actually calls for penne pasta, but we wanted to elevate that a little bit. So when we went to the store, we decided to get penne, bucatini, and a red lentil spaghetti. And we decided we were going to do that 3 different ways. The dish has obviously chicken, artichoke hearts, tomato, some feta, a little bit of citrus, some lemon, and lots of butter.
Yeah, the butter was a winner.
Gotta have butter.
Right.
Everything's better with butter.
Everything is better with butter. So here's the deal. I mean, clearly I'm not a Greek, right? But the food is good. Love the Mediterranean stuff. I know my wife would dig this dish a lot. So all 3 dishes, I gotta tell you, John, again, you're no culinarian, but you can get down in the kitchen a little bit. Like in home style, you're actually really great being a cook, a home cook. And for a guy who, granted you have a terrific eye, and granted you understand composition and colors, and you get all that. So for you, maybe styling and picking up, plating is probably pretty easy. But what you did today, 3 different dishes, physical dishes, you did freaking great. Everything looked great. The photography, like as we're shooting them, man, dope. So we did the penne, we did the bucatini, and then lentil spaghetti, whatever. What was your favorite of all that? Now we're talking looks here because flavor profiles are all
Right.
in and around the same, right? But we're talking looks, we're talking styling. What was your favorite?
So looks, the third one we did was the red lentil spaghetti. And I feel like by that time, actually, I was a little bit warmed up. So, my process, I'm not a chef, so I'm not cooking, 100 of these a night. I'm going into it cold. By the time we got to the third dish, I think I was a little more warmed up and the process went a little smoother. Plus, we were running out of ingredients, so I did the sauce separate instead of mixing it in with the pasta. My only thing is, I was hoping that the red lentil spaghetti it would keep the color a little bit, and it did lose a lot of the red color once it was cooked.
Yeah, it turned into more of a bronze.
Yeah,
Which was, but
but it looked nice.
It did. You picked the right plate for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually worked out really well. In fact, while I was doing the filming, there was one close up. I mean, all of it was good, but this one particular close up shot as you were finishing looked freaking great.
Yeah,
I can't wait to actually do the editing for that.
Yeah, I liked it. I just was hoping for a little bit more red. That's all.
With all the chefs that come through the studio and all the work we do together with them, is there anything subtle that you picked up from a chef particular that changed how you approach styling a dish?
Yeah, I would have to say less is more. When I go out to a restaurant to eat, I want that plate full because I'm the consumer. But when I'm taking a picture of it, negative space goes a really long way. Color is always a plus. Find a way.
We are in the business of documenting food. And sometimes, it's not often, but sometimes we become the focus. Actually, no, you become the focus because I actually haven't cooked on the show ever. Might have to do that someday. At what point do you come up with the thinking, I'm going to just go and cook this plate myself?
I've always kind of enjoyed cooking, and I started cooking really young. And, on top of that, I moved out of home when I was very young. So, I've always cooked for myself, and it's kind of a natural progression at that point. It's not like I have a private chef where I have to prepare a dish for me to shoot every day. So, got to do it yourself.
I mean, how many ramen noodles did we eat as teenagers?
And Elio's.
And Elio's pizza. Yeah. I mean, my God.
I'm afraid it's not going to be what I remember.
Probably won't. It probably, but you know what? Maybe it will. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, after all the Thomas Parkers and the Thomas Manzigs and, all these people and, the Mike Calantes, are we spoiled? Yeah. I don't know if I'm, but
you can always enjoy a slice of Elio's.
I will take that challenge and go for that. All right. So there's a million people out there with a camera in their pocket, and they love to take pictures of their food. They love to post what they eat on socials. And that's that whole life that's upon us now. You're a professional photographer. Let me say it differently. You are a professional photographer. When we have all these chefs coming in and out of here every week, and you have to bring that dish back into the studio, what are you looking at first? Is there something are there times where you need to make corrections or adjustments to these dishes? Is it something where you're like, all right, let me check out the structure. Let me check out the color or the balance. Like, how are you tackling that?
I would say that, probably balance is the most important. And then structure, and then, color, that's pretty much made up of what the ingredients are, whatever the chef is putting on the plate. So I always try to respect the chef's vision, but composition is super important in your image. And, so that's why I would say balance first.
Yeah. But what's your definition of balance?
What
balance are you describing?
So for example, there's an unwritten rule, the rule of thirds. So things compositionally look better in odd numbers when you're taking a photo. And then sometimes there's too much on a plate and it's hiding an important aspect of that plate. Maybe the hero meat or something like that. You know what I mean?
Walk and Talk Media is proudly supported by RAK Porcelain USA, creating durable, beautifully designed tableware for chefs and hospitality professionals. Learn more at rakporcelain.com.
So when I do make an adjustment, I always, out of respect, I try to ask the chef, hey, is it okay if I move this or whatever? And then, sometimes you just know what's going to look right in the shot. And, maybe you can't get an angle. Maybe by the stuff that they put on the plate, it's hiding it too much and you can't get that right angle. So you got to move something. A lot of times a chef is plating for a dinner table, not a picture. And, it's similar, but, it's different.
I mean, how blessed are we to have beautiful brand partners like Metro and Testo and of course, RAK Porcelain. John Marino was here a couple of weeks ago. He's the CEO and president of RAK Porcelain USA. Well, for me, that was such a big deal. I know for you too, that was such a big deal for him to be here in the studio with us. The fact that we do so much with them and the opportunity came out where you got to shoot their catalog and, continue to, is amazing. Now, obviously, when chefs are in the building here, everything's all, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, right? It's easy. You just, hey, chef, I need this, right? But when you're doing these catalogs, it's on you. You're the one that has to produce these dishes. And this is where this was the genesis of this whole, this episode, is that the progression that I've seen with you where, yeah, John, you're a badass photographer, but all of a sudden now you have to cook it and plate it too and shoot it. Looks to make it look professionally done. That is a big deal to me as I'm looking just at like how experiences progress and how techniques get dialed in. Cooking the catalog dishes yourself is a whole different level of responsibility. What did you learn the hard way the first time you owned that entire plate doing these catalogs?
Oof. Well, first thing I would say is that it is really hard. It's extremely difficult to set up your studio, get everything ready for the shoot, pick your plates, a lot of times actually your plates are already picked for you, but picking your tabletop, picking, the style of lighting you want to use, all that stuff. Then you got to cook. And these plates are high end. They're beautiful plates. So you have to put high end looking food on there. You can't just put a hamburger on there. It's got to be, a good looking dish. The good thing is I'm not cooking for flavor so much. I'm cooking for it to look beautiful. So you can cheat a little bit. The presentation just has to be stellar though. It has to match the plate that you're showcasing there. I would say the first time is that I made an absolute terrible mess in my kitchen because there's no one cleaning up for you. You're literally having to go right from plating into the studio and you can't clean up because the food dies. It dies real quick.
So if there's any photographers in the audience listening to this, they're going to hear what you're saying and understand that like that's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work.
And it's all hurdles. It's all uphill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a ton of work. And here's the other thing. So if you make any mistake, you have to start completely over. You've just messed up the plate you're shooting on. So you have to completely start over from scratch. Or it might not even be that you made a mistake. Maybe you shot something and the client looks at it and says, well, can we change the color of that pasta out? We want the red lentil pasta, not the white, Start over.
So look, at the end of the day, if it was anybody else except for like RAK or one of our people, I'm telling them it stays as is, right? We're not doing this again. Anyway, it's beautiful, right? That's what you tell them. You show them the picture and they're going to go, you're right. So with that said, what do most people misunderstand about what it takes to actually make food translate on camera? It's so much different than something you're going to get at McDonald's menu board, right? Like this is just different. Although it looks delicious, by the way, McDonald's menu board stuff. But this is different stuff. This is a whole different type of plating, styling, photography.
I mean, I'll go back to the earlier question. Less is more.
One of the biggest frustrations I hear from operators is putting time and money into things that don't actually bring people through the door. Frankie is approaching that differently. It's a pay-per-visit model, so you're only paying when diners actually come in and spend. They're also leaning into user-generated video, real diners sharing real experiences with over 220,000 restaurant videos out there already. What stands out is the accountability. You can actually see what's driving real traffic and revenue into your restaurant. If you're looking for a more measurable way to bring in diners, Frankie's built to do exactly that. They're offering $250 in-store purchases to get started. Find the link in the show notes to redeem the offer.
Don't fill the whole plate. And, color is really huge. If you can introduce some color to that dish, it can go a really, really long way. And it doesn't take much, just a pop, a brown steak with a brown sauce on a white mashed potato, it can look really, really dull in an image and, probably taste amazing, but, throw some chives on those potatoes, a little melted butter for some yellow, add some chili flakes to the steak, whatever you can do to add some color, it really, really goes a long way.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Is that it? I mean, it's like if it's me, like, me, for a long time, I was like ultra high contrast on my, I take a picture, I send it to you and you're like, yeah, it's an alien. What is that? What's something else for like the average foodie who goes to the restaurant, they're snapping pictures and sending it to their wives or kids or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, lighting is everything, obviously. The worst thing you can do is light a dish from the front. You want to be lighting it from the side or the back and, to add a little drama, some shadows. Shadows are wonderful. That's what I would say.
I remember the first time that I walked into a restaurant. I walked into an active eatery and I had to film by myself. Like there was no one there. You weren't there. There was nobody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is my first time actually doing this by myself. I had to earn that confidence from the floor up, from the ground up. And it wasn't easy. For you, learning some cooking methods and learning how to actually plate, what does that do for your confidence behind the lens?
Well, I mean, I'm still learning, but confidence is built when you do plate that thing and you do shoot it and then you're proud of that image that you shot. And each time that happens, that confidence compounds.
How do you know when it's the last micrograin? How do you know when it's the last drip or smear or whatever? How do you know when it's the last one? When it's too much, when you've crossed a line?
I don't always know. And sometimes I love it when I'm shooting it. And then, the next day you look at it and you're like, man, what was I thinking? What did you learn from it? The best way to get better is to screw up.
Do you still put out that content?
Man, I'm super picky about what I put out. So sometimes, what we do here is very unique. First off, what we shoot is not fake. It's real. It's what the chef is cooking, and it gets eaten here. This is not a hamburger with pieces of corrugated cardboard stacked in between to make it build up. And for this is real stuff. So I don't always love the way a dish looks when I'm shooting it, but it's real. But I'm super picky about what I put out.
Oh, I get it. Me too. Like there's so much content that I don't use. Even though it was crisp and there was something that was wrong just in the periphery where you can't get rid of it. And it's instead of publishing that, I dump it.
Yeah, same.
You have to. And I'm glad we do that. But we have so much content. That's the beautiful thing. We have access to so much action that we can do that kind of thing. I guess other people might be, compromised with that. They don't have enough there's not enough for them to be so picky. We're just building out these relationships, man. And for me, that's one of the coolest things about what we're doing here. and the growth that we have going on. And I want to just kind of go back to, the catalog for a second. It's a big opportunity, and that's a lot of pressure because you're dealing with several people in that company. You have to perform, and everybody has an opinion or direction. And at the end of it, you have to walk that tightrope, perform, execute, deliver. And that's amazing. And that's a whole different level of pressure. Knowing that, how does it impact your approach?
First of all, the team over at RAK is so awesome to work with. I was so excited. I couldn't have been more excited to get these catalog shoots. And, I would say there were many challenges going in, but the biggest one that, I could think of is that we're in Florida and they're in Ohio.
Support for Walk and Talk Media comes from Metro Food Service Solutions, trusted by kitchens that need storage and workflow that actually does the job. Learn more at metro.com.
So how do you fix that? The software that I use allows me to share my shoot with them as I'm shooting. They're getting my images live as I shoot. So, we're all communicating, the team and me, as we shoot. And, sometimes it's, move that fork a little bit to the left, move the glass to the right, whatever. So they're doing, this is all happening live, constant feedback throughout the day. Generally before the shoot, they prepare me with a shoot list, so that I can get ready beforehand, go into shop for ingredients. If I need to go get any props beforehand, I like to research looks for a particular dish that we're doing. A lot of times they provide me with a mood board beforehand. So there's a lot of prep that goes into it before you even switch the lights on.
So speaking of pressure, how you feeling about this podcast? Normally, as everyone knows in this audience who listens, you never speak, ever. And here you are, just being little Billy Badass, doing your thing, talking about your level of work. You do a good job. On the video that we did today, bro, strikes. You hit strikes all day. Personally, I think you should be participating more doing this. I'm just saying, you don't have to, don't say, shh. No, don't say a word. You don't have to say anything, but I'm telling you, this is something that you should get into a little bit more. And I think we should have a lot more fun with this. With that said, Johnny, today is episode 194. We have 6 more to go. We're hitting 200. I don't know how you process that. We've actually never spoken about this together, but for me, it blows my mind. The fact that the average, podcast goes 3 episodes and they're out. We have a really great team with you and Pooch and Calantes now. And I'm going to throw in the 2 Thomases, Barker, Manzik. We have a really steady team. There's a bunch of people, actually. There's another dozen chefs I should be mentioning right now. But the reality is, what we're doing is pretty amazing. What you're doing is pretty amazing. How do you feel? And I hate talking about it like this, to tell you the truth. I almost feel like I'm whoring it out, but I'm not. It's just exciting. What does this milestone mean to you personally?
Yeah, I mean, we've come a long way, man, from when we started doing this to, today. I'm just hoping and praying that, God willing, we continue to progress and that we continue to bring in amazing partners like RAK. We've been talking about RAK today, to work with us more in the future. And, maybe we get to a place where I have a short list of guests that I would love to work with,
Like who?
It's funny. Me and Manzik were just talking about this a couple of days ago. I would love to shoot Aaron Franklin stuff.
Oh, that would be badass.
Isn't it?
Honestly, speaking of Thomas Manzik, he literally just sent me right now. I got two pictures and a little text. He says, can we normalize no AI pics ever for food?
I totally agree. Actually, man, I think that's dishonest, man. AI with food.
I think AI with any finished product.
Well, so I don't mind AI for certain things. Like, so for example, let's say you're shooting a certain dish or product for a customer, but you need a background or something. I think that's okay. As long as the hero of the shot is legit, I don't think it's a bad thing to integrate AI into an image, but
This session of Walk and Talk Media is made possible by Citrus America, delivering fresh Florida citrus and juice solutions to food service professionals nationwide. Learn more at citrusamerica.com.
people putting full AI images out as if, it's a dish they did is dishonest in my mind.
I do not. I scroll past. I don't watch
I do
it.
too.
I don't look at it. If it's AI created, I don't want it.
Yeah.
Even if it looks good, I think the average person going forward, I think most people are just going to tune out of that.
I think people are kind of getting sick of it already, man.
Well, I've been sick of it from the beginning, but
Yeah.
I like AI for workflow purposes. It's freaking amazing. Like it is a life changer.
Yeah.
But like people who are making future decisions based on, what kind of, AI production they can do. I don't, man.
I'm with you.
I mean, there's magazines out there that do that. The whole, entire pieces are done in AI. The article, the photos, everything. I can't get behind it. I just can't. Can't swallow it.
I can't either.
Not for me. But I will tell you this. June 8th, invite only. So if you get one,
Are we having AI dinner?
it's an AI dinner. It's going to be AI delicious. Tampa Club, real life in person, pinch me. We're having a big shindig. It's going to be pretty dope. You got Cisco, Bush Brothers, Lombardi Seafood, Crab Island Seafood Dips, Southern Ice House with a sculpture, ice
That's
sculpture.
crazy.
It is so. I mean, there's going to be more too. This is like the current list. So there's going to be a ton of food, ton of cocktails, and it's going to be just badass. Let me tell you something a little bit more. Metro and RAK Porcelain will be donating merchandise as a raffle at the event. So that's pretty exciting.
That's so epic.
It is epic. It really is. Who else? I mean, honestly, dude, we are so, I'm going to say blessed to be where we are, hands down.
100%.
All right. So, I mean, I know what the music means. I know you know what the music means. Super excited to see the photographs. I'm actually pretty stoked about this, the videos I'm going to put out. John Hernandez, Ibis Images. How do people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Ibis Images or at ibisimages.com.
Yeah, and you know what? Why don't you build up your LinkedIn? I'm just saying. Hey, people out there, look up John Hernandez. It's going to be hard to find him. There's 6 million John Hernandez, but if you go...
But I'm connected to you, man.
Exactly. So if you go to Carl Fiadini, right, or Walk and Talk, you're going to find John, and you should follow him. Same thing on the Instagram. All right, man. I appreciate you, brother. Let's get on out of here, and I will see you on side B. We are out.